So I'll probably mention this on the other side. To leave that rust in between there just seems a crying shame going through all this trouble. I'm glad we decided to go ahead and pull the doors off. Not only are we going to end up with a better paint job, having all the jams nice, bright, and shiny like the rest of the car, but you know, we can take care of stuff like this. So everybody, check it out. When I left you guys last, everything was just tacked up, but we've got it all finish welded and ground down. Look at that. We got ourselves a rocker panel. A full rocker all the way down. Well, a patched rocker anyway. We did patch the whole face of that rocker. If you guys missed it, go check it out on my last video. We also patched in this this dog leg here. Fixed a major rust issue that we had going on, both inside and out. But that's all behind us now. I'm going to come in and do a little mud work, a little filler. Don't need much. Well, I'm going to start on that rocker. I'll probably start down there and work my way this way. And then, of course, we'll work our way on into the quarter. We got a little bit of filler work needs to go on around that wheel well. And we got a dent back here as well. Now, this is hidden behind the bumper. You won't even see it, but we're going to go ahead and knock it out of there and do a little filler work there, make it look a little better. And then it's time for primer. That is the final repair panel right there. That's it. Once we got that done, this car will be straight. She will be rust free. So all we'll have left at that point is we'll have to strip the deck lid. But it doesn't need any body work. That was actually the first thing we fixed on this whole car was the dent in the deck lid. Remember, it had a little dent off over in this neighborhood here. That was how this all began. So, and that was supposed to be all we were going to do, is just fix a couple dents on it, and here we are. That's cool, man. It's been fun so far. I'm not complaining one bit. Okay, so I've been working on it for a little bit now. I've got that all mudded in. There it is after the filler work. Didn't take a lot of filler. You can still see some of the metal kind of poking through there, just to kind of give you an idea how thin it is. Now I'm going to go in, I'm going to wipe this whole section, and we'll do it just like that. We'll get it all dialed in with our 36 grit sandpaper, and then we'll start moving on to the glaze and then the finer grits. I was thinking maybe we get in here and knock this dent out. I think we can get in from the back side. We are officially on the last dent of the car, and we could probably leave this alone. I mean, that bumper comes around here, you don't even see it. In fact, I didn't even know it was there until I pulled the bumper off. But it's too easy to get to from the back side. It's wide open back there. We're just going to see if we can't knock most of that out and at least make it look better. Get it to the point to where just a little skim coat of filler and we're done. See what we're working with inside of here. You kind of see it bulged in right there. Shouldn't have any problem getting my board on it. We'll tap on it with a hammer, see if we can get it to pop out. That's actually not too bad. I'm impressed. Was noticing another one right here. You see where it's pushed in there? You can see it really well over here on the inside. I think we can get that out while we're in here. Hey, who remembers the old cheese graters? These here, normally this would go on a little attachment with a handle on it, you know, but I usually just use this by itself, and it acts just like a cheese grater. It gives you a nice head start, especially when you work in a big area like this. We'll hit it with this first, and then we'll start our 36 grit. All right, you can see how well that works. I mean, look how much of that stuff's in the floor now. We got some low spots here and there. We're gonna keep working it, but now I'm gonna go ahead and switch over to my sandpaper, and we're gonna work that on down to where we're even with these low spots. And by that point, most of this mud will be gone, except for a very, very thin coating, just to kind of even everything out and make it nice and straight. I mean, as you can see, most of this stuff ends up in the floor. It looks like a lot when we first wipe it on there, but a big majority of it comes right back off, and all you're left with is a very, very thin coating. All right, so I've got in here with my sanding blocks, got my 36 grit sandpaper. I'm getting this to all feather out really nicely. And I've ran into metal already. Remember, this is all gonna be worked down pretty thin, so it's a very good chance we're gonna start seeing metal poking through. And here we are already, but the problem is we're still low here, and we're still low here. See how we're sanded all the way around and we're just not touching this area. This is for all you new guys out there. I know a lot of you guys already know all of this. So what should we do? Should we keep building this area up, this area, till it's even with this? Or do you think we should just go ahead and try to knock this down closer to this? I think we should go ahead and knock this down a little bit. Less filler is better. Let's get this closer to this area and then see if we can't just blend it all together. When it comes to something like this, rather than sitting here and try to tap on that and risk hitting your mud and cracking it, just put your hammer on here, take you another hammer and hit that. It don't take a lot, especially if you're working on a newer car. Like this old girl here, you can kind of tap around on it and get away with it. But if this were a Honda or Toyota or just any car from today, 10 years old, even 15 years old, you tap on them, you're gonna move some metal. All right, so that definitely went down a little bit. Let's start sanding again and see if these areas start to even up with this area. All right, so we're getting this to look better just by knocking that down a little bit, knocking this area down a little bit. Look how much smaller that low spot is. I mean, you could barely feel that. That's not going to take much more at all. In fact, I think I could even work that down just a little more. Through here, look how much better that's gotten. That dark spot is going away. We still got a little more material in there. I think we could work it down some more. That'll be nice. That means if we do re-wipe this, we'll only have a little tiny spot here and here and here to re-wipe in this area. Super cool. So we're gonna keep moving right on down, come down this way and start working some of this the same way. Find all those low spots, see if we can work down as far as we can, and hopefully we won't have to re-wipe any of this, or if we do, it won't be very much. I want to show you guys a little trick. I took a piece of masking tape, stuck it on here, and then I wiped my mud, and before the mud was dry, I peeled the tape back off. Reason I do that is I don't want to cover up all my factory spot welds with filler. Once you covered it up, it's near impossible to go back and sand it back out, and we want those factory welds to show. We don't want to cover all that up. All that does is just tell the next, the next owner or whoever looks at this that it's probably had a quarter panel replaced or something like that. So we don't want to give the wrong impression. This has never had a quarter panel replaced, so we don't want it to look like it has. So we want to keep our factory welds. All right, so we've got our low spots wiped. A little trick to doing low spots. When it comes time to go ahead and work the area, the last thing that we want to do is eat into the surrounding surface, because this area is good, right? And if we're in here, we're trying to work this down, we're not careful, we will get into the surrounding area, and all that's going to happen is you're going to end up with an even bigger low spot, and we don't want that. So obviously we need to work this down first. And the way I like to do that is I just hit the mud before it's ready. I mean, it's still a little sticky, still a little bit soft. That's okay. But the trick is, I don't want to ruin my new piece of sandpaper, so basically what I do is I just take an old piece, kind of stick it to my hand and just rub that right over the area. Don't get crazy. We're not trying to actually work the area. We just want to work that stickiness off. At that point, I should be able to come in here with my new piece of sandpaper, work this area without digging into the surrounding area and without clogging up my sandpaper. Because if I wouldn't have done that, if I wouldn't have started out on my old piece, this would have most definitely clogged up my new paper almost instantly. And once your paper's clogged up, you're no longer cutting straight. And that's the whole point of having a block, is you want to sand this all down nice and flat and straight. Now, see this right here? It looks like the paper's ruined, right? Just take you a wire brush. You can even use an air hose and blow all of that right out of there. By this point, nothing should be sticking to your sandpaper. It all stuck to the old piece. It's chewing this down super quick, and we are not affecting the surrounding area one bit. Had a little bit of a low spot right here in the quarter panel. I think that's from the stamping. When they stamp these things out, you got, they're trying to get all these weird shapes, and this is where it kind of all comes together. The fin sits on top of here. Kind of has a little bit of a low spot here. They try to break that up with lots of trim. A big vent looking emblem goes right there. It looks like vents on the side of a jet or something. I don't know. Anyway, it helps kind of break all that up, but I went ahead and just kind of filled it in. It's very, very light. It was just a slight little wave right there. Went ahead and took it out. And you can see how thin it is there. You can see the trim holes. I mean, there's no thickness there at all. I wouldn't even call it a 1/16 of an inch thick. Anyway, at this point, we are ready for glaze. For those of you who don't know what that is, when we work all of this, the actual filler, we use really aggressive sandpaper. 36 grit is what I'm using here. I mean, it's like gravel glued to a board. You want to do that because it helps to get everything nice and straight when you use really aggressive sandpaper on the filler itself. Be able to get it nice and dialed in. If you're working with body lines, anything like that, you want to use really aggressive sandpaper on it at first to get your shape, get everything nice and flat and uniform, and then you can go back with the glaze, and it wipes on here and fills all of those really aggressive 36 grit scratches. And then you could go back over the glaze with 80 grit, much smoother, finish it off with maybe 120, 150, somewhere along in there. And at that point, it's ready for primer. But like I said, man, when you're trying to get your shape, when you're trying to work these body lines and all this kind of stuff, you want that aggressive sandpaper. Otherwise, it's really hard to get those lines dialed in, really hard to get everything nice and flat and all the waves gone, because if you're trying to work that with a lighter grit sandpaper, let's say you tried to do this with 120, chances are you're going to clog up your sandpaper, because that is a very fine sandpaper. You know, the dust gets in there, clogs it up really quick. Next thing you know, you're not cutting straight anymore. And that's when you kind of get all those little waves and stuff. So anyway, that's how we do it. Got it dialed in with the 36 grit. We're going to come up here. Here's my glaze. I got it sitting in front of the heater there. I kicked the heater off so I can talk to you guys. This is the glaze I'm using. Dolphin glaze. There's the part number. I picked this stuff up at O'Reilly's. I believe it to be around, I don't know, 20, 25 bucks a pouch. Something like that. And it works really nice, keeping it nice and warm in front of the heater. It's a little chilly out today, but this is going to go right over that, fill in all those little scratches. It'll look nice. Spread our glaze on here. Already put some across the back there. Basically, I'm just going to wipe this whole panel, and then we'll come back and we'll sand probably about 75% of this back off. She ought to be nice and flat after that. Get most of the waves and stuff out of it. That'll look pretty good. So quarter panel's a little wavy through here. This is how they do all them fancy show cars. Not that this is going to be a fancy show car or anything, but this area through here, I mean, this is such a long panel that if it's really, you know, if it's wavy, you're going to see all of it. And from the way I understand it, these old cars are pretty wavy from the factory. So I figured maybe we take this opportunity to take care of a little bit of that, especially in this area where the blue paint's going to be. Right through the middle of this. This is where the blue stripe is. Remember, this is a two-tone blue and white. Right through the middle there is that pretty blue paint. It's going to show waves if they're excessive, you know. We don't want that. We could easily take those out right here. And like I said, it's going to look like I'm putting a lot of filler on here. It always looks like that at first. But, like I said, about 75% of it will get sanded right back off. And you're left with a really smooth layer that doesn't have waves in it. And the way I look at it is it's almost like an extra thick layer of a primer or something, you know. I mean, that's what the primer's for. You get in there and you block all your primer out and you get all those little small little imperfections out by doing that. And this just kind of gives you a head start on that. Take this all the way down to the bottom there. And what we'll do is we'll feather it back right to the trim line. Remember that big long piece of chrome trim runs down through there. We'll come in and we'll feather that all back right to that trim line, because really it doesn't need anything below that. Get this nice and smooth now. The smoother you wipe this on, the less sanding you're going to have to do. And I'll show you back here the section I already did a few minutes ago. You'll notice it's a little different color. I had a little bit of the 3M glaze left over, and I wasn't fond of it. I didn't care for it, so I didn't go back with it. This time I just went with the Dolphin glaze. Man, I love Dolphin glaze. This stuff is awesome. It's super, super easy to spread and super, super easy to sand back off. That 3M was a little hard to to work back down for glaze, in my opinion. Is like, why is this so hard to sand? And when you wiped it on, it was really, really, really thick. And when it comes to glaze, I don't want it thick. I don't need it to be thick. So this particular U-Pole glaze, get it from O'Reilly's is where I get it. Works really, really good. And it's cheaper, man. That 3M was like 40 bucks. This stuff is half the price. Yeah, you see there, that's what I'm talking about. A little different color, and that's this kind right here, the 3M. Look at the price tag on that, man. $40. Isn't that crazy just for that little tube? And the weird thing is the filler that we're using, it's 3M as well. You see it there. Look at the price on that. You know, 24 bucks for a whole gallon. I don't understand why this stuff's so expensive, but I wasn't impressed. I didn't like it. And you know, it's just my opinion. But this other stuff we're using, the Dolphin Glaze, it sands out so much easier, and it wipes on so much easier. So we'll just continue on with that. And really, this is the last panel we're working on anyway. I just thought maybe we'd go ahead and get rid of that since we had it and finish it off, and then we'll go ahead and start sanding this area as well. You can see how smooth it is now. Look at that. That's the difference there, for those of you who didn't know. See how really smooth it is? Nice and feathered back. And then when you get down here, you'll see that the scratches are really, really deep. Well, I haven't wiped this area yet. We'll come in and we'll wipe from here down next. Finish this area up. After that, this quarter panel should be done. We'll have to go ahead and wipe a little spot here. That's where we did our last patch panel. That shouldn't take but a few minutes. Once we're done with that, we'll get in here with our wire wheel, strip down the jamb, get it all bare metal, and we can finish up with our primer. So there you have it, one straightened out quarter from one end to the other. Man, that was a lot of work, I'm not even gonna lie. And then of course you add in the fact that we had to do the rocker panel as well, but look at it, nice and smooth. She's looking really good. She's ready for primer. We'll get a few coats of that high build primer on there. She'll be good to go. Check it out, man. All the body lines are nice. I don't think we're gonna have any problems with it. Man, I felt of it. She is really, really smooth, no waves. She ought to be good. Let's see. So what do we do next? I'm going to have to strip all of this with the wire wheel, just like we did on the other side. Get it all down to bare metal. Take a few trim pieces out so we can back tape. And of course, you know, we'll clean the rust off the back of those the hinges there. Clean that rust off like we did these here. And we can prime all of that. So, but that's for another video. It's getting late. I just wanted to kind of update you guys, let you guys, I know a lot of you guys are just ready for me to paint this, and I understand, but there's just so many steps. And when we found out that rocker panel was messed up, it just kind of screwed everything up. That was a lot more cutting and welding. We wasn't anticipating all of that, so it kind of threw us behind a little bit, but not a big deal. We're past it now, so who cares? We're gonna have to get these up on the stand, and we'll have to strip the back side of the doors as well, get all that old crappy paint off so that we could paint the inside of the doors the same way we're going to do the inside of the jambs over here. It's all got to get stripped and it's all got to get primed. It's late, it's very, very cold, and it's supposed to snow tonight. So I would go ahead and just prime this and be done with it, but it's going to get too cold out here tonight, you guys. So we'll do that on another video, like I said. In fact, we'll probably come back on the next video. It'll already be done, and hey man, maybe we'll be ready to spray some paint. Because if I got all this done, stripped and primed, there shouldn't be any reason why we can't go in there and at least spray all the jams. How cool would that be? I don't know. We're kind of figuring it out as I go. I don't have a lot of time to spend with it. I only get like a few hours a day. So we kind of got to work around all that. That's okay. We're making real progress and she's turning out nice. So that's the most important part. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. I appreciate everybody following along. This is really cool. Please like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. I really appreciate everybody watching. Check me out on Instagram, Facebook, all that. And hey, I started a Patreon, so there's a link to the Patreon account in the description. And I appreciate everybody that's already jumped in there and started donating, man. I can't even believe it. It just blows my mind. I can't even believe I got people really wanting to contribute to the channel, to these projects. Freaking awesome, dude. I'm beside myself over it. So anyway, it means a lot, you guys. It really does. The channel's growing. We're going to try to get 50,000. I mean, we're going for it, man. 50,000 subs by New Year's. That's the goal. Please subscribe, you guys. Let's get us up there, man. So anyway, I'm going to get on out of here. I'll see you guys later.